We circulate and we live with this type of consciousness, which is a mighty and secure and powerful and magnetic and magnanimous consciousness, where we are never afraid to do, to give. You know, we need to be at the place where we can feel so free. If I give away a world today, I may have one tomorrow, all right? It's just so that I may have one tomorrow. Because the universe is always circulating, just like those cars parking. You know, you all have demonstrated parking spaces, right? So what's so different anywhere? One job goes, another comes. Thank you. You know, it's the flow. Life is not meant to be rigid. It's meant to be lived in the stream, right? And with a concept of fullness. All that the Father hath is mine. The innocent get to heaven. You know, practice innocence to your past. So if some relative says, well, who are you thinking this? You know, you never had a good job in your life. You don't do what I'm doing. You say, well, I'm not that. You know, it builds up your energy, your stamina, that you may create what you want and that you may always be free. And there's also a statement that spirit never gets stuck in circumstances. So what was true for me, you know, a moment ago is not necessarily true for me now, right? And it's our right to keep rising and emancipating your consciousness. Okay, so those are the 7 levels. I want to get into some aspects of the Unexpected Income Program, which I told you was 12 lessons. So tonight, briefly, I'm going to go into the first 3. Now, as we said, in order to be able to activate these principles and these laws and have them accessible, we have to do a lot of cleaning out. The first step is cleansing. Cleansing our mind, our feelings, establishing order. Where there's chaos now and negativity, we want to bring in order, we want to bring in light. So, cleansing, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. And, you know, in every ritual that has been part of it, the preparation to receive of the good is first the cleansing. Now, how do we cleanse? We have methods. Forgiveness. How can I get free of my past if I will not abide in the law of forgiveness? If you're good at stuck, ask yourself, is there anyone, anything, anywhere that I need to forgive? And this is not something where you go, you know, call up someone 10 years ago and say, I'm forgiving you now. You know, it is an inner process, because if we never spoke a word, the law knows. And when we have not forgiven, we have not released, and we cannot live in the present. So they're off partying, and we're suffering from the cause and effect, right? So ask yourself, if something gets stuck, here's something you can ask. Who or what do I need to forgive? And let go. And not only forgive, you know, you must get out of your memories, forgive the bad memories, forgive the persons, places, and things attached to them, forgive all persons who gave you any idea of limitation or lack or insufficiency or not good self-worth or whatever. Forgive them all. It's the old world, we're shipping them off, okay? But they're taught, when you do not forgive someone, and when our mind rummages around in that, you might as well have a steel band that goes from you to that person. You are karmically bound, okay, because you're reactive. Now, the law says, I must forgive. And that means what it means. It means I must let it go. And not only that, how can I do that? Because I am one with God. I am one with all the love that it is. Certainly I have the capacity to forgive whoever stepped on my toes about whatever. Certainly I can, you know, and we find a way to forgive. That is tremendously cleansing, okay? Then we release, not only we forgive, we release, we say all negative bondage, karma is completed between us now and forever. I release this person to their highest good, not only releasing them, forgiving them, but with a blessing. If you want blessings, since you can only get what you give out. And again, it is not important what people do to us. It is our consciousness about it. And that's the thing, bless thine enemies. Of course, we know there are no enemies. You know, and this challenge comes by all of us on the path to greatness, that we have to forgive greatly to get that golden spirit happening in us. So the things that are our hurts, our complaints, our bad memories, are really our golden opportunities to ascend to a higher platform than ever before. It doesn't mean we go have dinner with people. We don't. It's an inward action where we release them to their greatest good, to their prosperity, and we know that all negative bondage is now dissolved forever between me and that person or that condition, and it shall never come again. I am free and they are free. Okay? You have the power to forgive and the power to free. So when you do that, what happens? Your energy is all available for you now, for you have abided in the law. So you can cleanse whole chains of negative cause-effect. This is the emotional cleansing. The emotional body is the most powerful body because it's your creative power. You know, your emotions are meant to be love, enthusiasm, courageousness, joy, all the things that help you create. But to the degree that they're stuck in negativity, they're not available for creation. They're not available for you now. All right? So we are cleansing. You can cleanse whole chains entirely of negative cause and effect. Let's say you think, well, you know, I've never had good relations with finances in my life. You can say, I now forgive, release, let go all negative, financial, whatever, causes and effects, and I now establish only right, constructive, fulfilling relationship. It is your right. You can release any pattern, particularly chronic patterns. You don't need to spend years in therapy. You decide that you're going to release it for what? And I call it the divine exchange system. I'm going to let go of this for what? Okay, God? I'm going to let go of this whole negative chain of cause and effect that I may have my good. Not to lose, but to acquire. That is the law. It's energy. I perform a vacuum. When I perform release, I perform forgiveness, I create a vacuum for new good to come in. The universe is perfect circulation and is said it abhors a vacuum. So when we release someone, something, some condition from the past, we simultaneously have opened the door to receive of the new. Some bless us by going, and some bless us by arriving. Okay? So if you can see what the pattern is that you want to get rid of forever, and you're thanking God in you that you have the power to eliminate and get away from forever, that you never cause that again, then you want to know what you're going to bring in. So I give you this for this. I say no to this to be able to say yes to that. Get the idea of the energy, okay? So cleansing patterns, which no longer serve me. Cleansing, very important to prosperity. And it's in Deepak Chopra's 7 Laws of Success. Okay? Dependency. If I believe that I am, dependency, attachment, guilt, and fear. If I believe that my good is in one job, one person, one place, then I am telling a lie. Spiritually, that is not the truth, because spiritually, God, or mine, is my source. And people and conditions are the channels of the time for that energy. All right? So, if I cannot free someone because I think my good depends on them, I have set up an untruth and a limitation for myself. Remember, if you're in untruth, you're causing restriction and limitation for your life. So it behooves me to release dependency and rather to say, I appreciate all the good in my life, but I know that God is my source. Therefore, I can enjoy all sources of good, and I can let them flow infinitely, and I don't have to control that it's going to be this or that at any time. Dependency, attachment, and guilt and fear. Now, I can't buy into it's not good to prosper. I can never prosper with that. So you've got to heal yourself of any erroneous religious beliefs. You know, we said we have the thou shalt. You know, Moses gave thou shalt not, thou shalt not, thou shalt not, and that was appropriate for that time. But we give the thou shalt. Thou shalt have thy good in perfect, right, and harmonious ways, and with no harm to anyone. Okay? Thou shalt have thy prosperity in ways that, you know, are harmonious with you. But thou shalt, all right? So one of the ways you can start your prosperity going is by forgiving, releasing. You can performing a vacuum. You can ask, you know, well, I want a new computer. What can I do to prepare to receive? Well, make room on my desk. You don't think that speaks to the universe? What you have in mind? Your actions are demonstrating your consciousness. So instead of worrying, how can I create it? Remember, it's not our job to create. It's our job to know that it is being done unto us, created for us, as we have believed and as we have said in perfect right way. So I create the space to prepare for my new computer. Preparation laws. They're so fun, you know, to prepare, because only your intuition can let you know what would be good for you to do. And your intuition may say to you, well, in order to prepare for your good, you've got to let go of that old relationship. You know? You've got to let, the universe does not work in clutter. New good cannot come into a congested area, you know? Or maybe I need to forgive that person. Your own intuition will tell you, but you can ask, what do I need to do to prepare for this new good? How can I help the law, God, to help me? All right? Then, of course, we know you've got to cleanse from the negatives that work against you, the force of all the programming, you know, not through arguing, just through noticing it and choosing to release it and not buy into it anymore. Then, okay, cleanse your mind of opinions, judgments, opinions. Boy, we do that, and boy, does that constrict us. Judge not, you know, lest you create karma, right? Karma really just means cause and effect, and it's happening right now. We don't have to go lifetimes to experience it. We experience it with our every thought and action, right? So, cleansing the waters of mind through spiritual thought, cleansing the emotions through forgiveness, cleansing the mind through realizing the absolute truth, the truth of the all in all, the truth of our real identity. Increase. Now, how do we increase something? So the first phase, the cleansing, first treatment I have is cleansing, and gives you some exercises on that, right? But now the second is on realizing that I never needed, I titled it, I never needed to want. You know, the title of it. The universe is abundant. So why have we fallen into want, scarcity, lack, fear? Because we have been told that it is not an abundant place and it's hard to get what you want. And so you will see people living out the stuff of their beliefs. That's all there is. Projections of our beliefs. So we have to counter that now and say, I do not believe in that. I never needed to want or lack. We don't empower what we don't want to continue experiencing. I never needed to do that. I just believed in it. But now I know the truth is the universe is abundant. So we're healing all ideas in this phase, that there is lack, that there's shortage, that things run out, you know, all the negative ideas. And healing all those ideas, that knowing that I cannot attract good if I'm thinking in terms of the opposite. I cannot keep good either if I continue negative patterns of any sort. So, you know, the law is impeccable, and supposing we get into a good mood and we have a great demonstration, If we don't sustain that demonstration with right thinking, in other words, continuing that very same pattern that got us there, we will not continue it. It will dissolve. So until we truly have it and are living it in its totality, we will find it breaks down, but then we can get the energy going again through knowing what we're doing. So we must heal any idea anywhere in mind of shortage, lack, that any of this is true, and you've got to give up any attachment to the old self-image. You know, the old self-image. You got to let it go if you want to put on divine clothes with a seamless robe. You got to let that go and say, I'm not attached to that. I have my mind on something greater. All right? So now you have the practice in the way of recognizing, true recognition, recognizing for the mental health what is true. We have the practice of absorption, praise, meditation, spiritual breathing, recognition of the living principle. Remember what I said, what principle of divine reality you want to bring out in your life. Denying the denials. You know, this is a method of denials and affirmations. We deny that which is not true. Deny the denials of the present, that God is not present, that this is not an abundant place. We deny that, and then we affirm what is. There is no truth to that. There is no truth. I do not believe in that. There is only God. There is only completeness. There is only fullness. First step of emancipation, repelling the old influence. Looking outside yourself often. What is the truth? Yes, I feel this way, but what is the truth? You must be willing to move into your cosmic identity. You must be willing to sacrifice the old. Let it go with all the history and all the stories whatsoever to have you good. And so that you are being who you are. Practice gratitude. The principle of gratitude, gratefulness, remember what I said, of what we have. If we want more, the secret of multiplication, you want $1 million, bless the penny. Say, God is every bit in this penny of $1 million, God. Bless it. Because if you are not, you are saying there's something else in the totality. You understand? You're saying there's something other. And that's why we bless our hard circumstances and we praise them. And we know good shall come through there. There's divine purpose. So that they will bless us. Curse the thing, it curses you. Bless it, it blesses you. All right? Name it good, it becomes good for you. So, if you want to increase good, maybe try preparation laws. What do I need to let go of to make room to receive? Try praise and a lot of things of all the good of your life from the beginning until now. I was given this when I was asking, how can I get rid of a certain thing? And I was meditating on the Christ consciousness. And what came to me was see everything as perfect. It was all perfect. And bless it all. Because otherwise we're resisting and we cannot get the energy of something if we're saying it's not good. Whatever good was present there for us is not available until we say that it is good. And we must do this without reservation. I don't care what the whatevers we've been through, who has them. We have to say, I'm more than that, and it's added unto me. And stop thinking we have particular bad problems that are so tough they can never be gotten over with. That's not the truth. It's not the truth. So, acknowledging God is my life, and, develops your change, your cleansed change inside. Okay? So that's the second, is that mental healing, and particularly in the area of abundance, prosperity. If you're thinking that there is, not enough money, there's a recession, there's not enough this, there's not enough that, doesn't matter what you're calling it, it's still the same issue happening. Not enough love, not, good things are hard to find. That is not the prosperous consciousness, okay? And it's not the truth. Third is I establish my worth. All right, once you have a solid ground, third lesson, I establish my worth. Once you're the solid ground, you know what is, you've decided you're going to leave the past, you're going to live the mind of truth, you're going to become it, you're going to live it, you're going to be the spirit of abundance and all, prosperity. Then we need something to ground ourselves on. What's my place in this? So then comes establishing my worth. And that means not by someone else's opinion out there. First, I know that I am worthy, not because someone has approved of me or given me a grade A, but because I am of God. Because I am an emissary of the Creator. Each one of us is equally the worthiness of it all. Absolutely. And so we establish our worthiness in the idea of uniqueness, that there is only one, but the manifestations are unique. Therefore, there is no competition. That is not a truth. Everyone is equally significant, a part of the whole system, a divine idea. No one is better than anyone else. There is no ground for comparison because each blueprint is like a singular ray of God, unique in its color, maybe similar, but unique. No two thumbprints. So we know I am the worthiness of it all, and so are you. And then we begin to ask the questions, and you should do this at home. What is it about me? What are my attributes? You can look at skills, special skills. Maybe your attributes cannot even be defined as skills. Maybe it's something about the way you are with people. When you're in an office lights up. But you have to know, and we have to get off wanting other people to tell us and claim our talents so that we can use them, recognize them. Thank you, God. You gave me inspiration. You gave me whatever, right? And it's far beyond pride. It's not pride we're talking about. That's a lack state. If I have to be prideful and boastful, it means I don't know who I am. I'm trying to affirm it. So this is a deep spiritual knowing that I have meaning, intricate meaning in the tapestry of this universe. And if you can discover that and ask yourself, what is my purpose? Now, another thing about elevation and prosperity, again, I'm the initiator of my good, I cause good to myself, is that we ask deeply, what is my purpose? Now we know it can't be going 9 to 5 every day. That may be just a step where we're learning how to interrelate or whatever. But the ultimate thing of evolution and emancipation, where the flower is really happening, is when we say, what is my purpose? And that is a deep inner question where it will be revealed to us as we ask. And in that are involved the usage of our highest assets. And when we forsake the false ideas that I should be this and I ought to be this, and that's what they tell me I should do, and we start to live our own purpose, we prosper limitlessly. It's like the whole universe comes to, you're working then, really, with God. So you will be able to identify your soul purpose by asking, what do I like to do? What are my assets? What are my special qualities, talents? What do I love to do? What gives me pleasure? What gives me the greatest joy? Here is where your power is. With love, of course. What gives me the greatest joy? That is your power. So you can qualify, you can know you're on the right path because a sense of well-being comes over you. There is joy, right? And remember, if I could do, of course you can, if I could do whatever I wanted right now and know that all would be well, what would that be? What would that be? That's where you need to be. So, all right, so when you start living by your soul purpose, your divine purpose, and then the form, remember, everything is to serve spirit, the evolution of spirit. So when I treat for work, then I say, thank you, God, for perfect work. where I can express my capacity as such and such, where, I am, I am well remunerated, where people are blessed by my presence and I am blessed by theirs. And I set a whole unified idea of prosperity happening. And then what do you know? Someone calls me and says, gee, are you available for this? I have asked a right. I have sought to serve and I have asked a right. And I have then ascended out of the influence of the shoulds and the oughts from the minds of others and from my own mind being cluttered. And we must be brave. Remember we said, the courageousness to cross the river. To say, listen, I know this for myself. So no matter what the fear, no matter whatever, I am, empowering this. I'm choosing to empower this. All right? Now, so I established my worth. There is no competition. This is like ridiculous. You look at the world, people who are suffering so much from ideas of competition, comparison, it's like a drug. And they never get to find God. They never get to bliss because they are caught at that sense, opinion, judgment level, and they are not living what they are with power, right? We don't want that to be us. I would just ask you this one question when you go home, ask yourself, what am I putting? We know, this is on the premise of absolute good, that the good that we desire, no matter what it is available, perfect, right now. I'd like you to ask yourself this question. What am I putting between me and that good? It may be an idea you have in mind. What am I putting between me and that good? Your good is available now. There can only be one thing between you and your good, a belief. So what do I need to change, to release, to let go? Your own intuition will tell you as you ask this question. What is between me and my good? And ask that question. Write it down. And the answers that come up, for instance, like there's no opportunity. It says all available now, but there's no opportunity. Oh yes, I know that, but there's no opportunity. So we have to heal that with the truth. All opportunities are present and I need to be present. Literally, that's how we do it. Heal it with the truth. But you can do that self-introspection. We have to end now. And let me just, I know for all of us together this evening that we all did receive what we needed to receive, and that each is empowered with new information to go forward, to demonstrate at a greater or emancipated level, and that you are already demonstrating at a new plane of expansion for yourself, prosperous expansion for yourself. And so be it, and so it is.